Welcome to another video from Cardboard East. My name's Jay. I play board games from Asia and share what I find with all of you. Today, we're not going to talk about just one, not two, but three games coming to Kickstarter soon. Now in this video, I'm going to teach you how to play Aqua Garden, Sky Garden, and Dino Garden and explain how they differ and share my thoughts on all three of these games. Keep in mind though that all three of these are prototypes and none of the rules are finalized as of yet. Hi, if you're watching this video, that means that you have an interest for board games coming from East Asia, just like me. But I've noticed in my YouTube analytics that a lot of you haven't subscribed yet. So I'm asking you that if you like these videos, if you like this channel, please subscribe. It's absolutely free and it really helps this channel grow. And my promise to you is that I'm going to work really hard to make sure that each of my videos get better and better and better, are more engaging, and keep you informed about all the games coming from East Asia. If you'd like to help the channel grow even more, please consider joining our Patreon and you'll get access to our lovely Discord filled with lovely people where we talk about these board games 24/7. And with that, let's dive on in. Welcome to Aqua Garden. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, Jay, this looks nothing like the box you just showed me. Well, that's true. This is the original box. This is the big box expansion, Beach Combing. I just want to show you a little bit on the inside here. It has a nice little insert here. Here's your rule book. And these are all the expansions that have come out for Aqua Garden. There have been quite a few, and I've been really hoping that they just condense this all into one book or maybe one giant rule book because, you know, that would be really nice. Now, there are a ton of meeples here, a ton. Look at this otter. He's cute, so cute. But you're quite packed here with stuff. And if you wanted to think that, oh, maybe I could put everything into one box. Well, here's Beachcombing, and it's still one giant box as well. So there's a lot in these boxes here. I just wanted to show that to you before we go to the big box. In 3, 2, 1, boom! Here we are with the big box. Now, as I lift this up, again, this is a prototype, so please, everything in here may not be finalized, but I want to show you one little thing here. Your boards have now been recessed boards, so it's all really, really nice. No one can bump it and you lose everything. That's one good upgrade, but what is this? Now, if you're not familiar with these pieces, that means you don't have the big box expansion. These are from the Beachcombing expansion, so it looks like, I'm not sure if it's going to be offered in this Kickstarter, but it looks like this will be a one-box storage solution for the base game and for Beachcombing. This comes from one of the little tiny expansions, so you have a nice little portable area. Here's a scoring pad from the Beachcombing expansion. So this is really nice, and I really wanted to point this out. Now, there was nothing in here that told me like what goes where. I just assumed everything. So here's everything. There's lots of storage space underneath, some storage space here. There's enough room here for a lot of cards. I just put the meeples in here, and then here's my bag filled with all the fish meeples. So I just wanted to point out that this game will come with an insert, and this pops out. So I'm not exactly sure how this is done. I like to think that this pops out next to the board, so it gives you something to store things in. And with that, let's go into how to play. Here we are, almost set up for a full game of Aqua Garden. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to randomly be given one of these 5 events, and you're going to place it right here to the right of your player board. These 4 milestone cards will be chosen at random, and you do have 3 of each kind in the base game. And you'll just randomly choose one of each and then return these back to the box. Now, before we begin, I want to talk about your player board. You see this little dotted line here around this space here? Well, that's where your little employee will start. So you're going to be placing them here. And you also notice this is where you keep track of your money. And this little dotted line here, well, that's where you're going to put your starting money token. here. Now, you have 6 individual tanks. Each tank has 4 oxygen. Everything you put in there consumes oxygen. So small fish, big fish, the coral, and the seahorse all take up 1 oxygen. And once it's full, you cannot put anything else in that tank. You could always take something and boot it out, and you'll boot it out here to the seaboard. More on that later. If you put a turtle in, you must have seaweed in there first, and this turtle will take up 2. Now, the seaweed doesn't take up any space. It actually increases it to 6. So you go from 4 to 6. And that's going to be really helpful because you can put the whale shark in one of these tanks. It'll be full. But with seaweed, you could put in something else. You could probably put a whale shark and a shark. Notice the shark here is that if you put a shark into one of these tanks, it's going to eat any fish or turtle that's already there. So you're going to be really careful about doing that. Now, we'll talk about these 2 actions in just a second, but I want to show you the main board because this is going to be something that we'll talk about a lot. Now, you'll notice here this says event, and you have an event card. This event card only talks about these 2 spaces here. In fact, during the course of the game, your little dude here is going to be walking around your aquarium. Every time he crosses this bucket, he's going to trigger the event. Now, this particular event is large fish and coral. So every pair of these that I have is going to give me $1, and the bucket itself will just give me $1 even if I don't have any of this activated. So no matter what, I'll always get at least $1. Now, this pair could be, well, both of these could be in this tank, both of these could be in this tank. They don't have to be in the same tank though, so you could have fish, coral, or coral fish. Either way, it'll constitute a pair. And for each pair, I get $1, and the bucket gives me $1. And every time I cross that, that is the main source of income that you'll have throughout the course of the game. So keep track of this because it's really, really important. Now here we are, set up, ready to go. This is the main board. That's going to take where all the action is going to be taking place. Now on your turn, whoever is in the last position, it's their turn. So let's say green's going to go, and they can go anywhere they want. They must go in that direction. Let's say they go here. They'll take this turtle, and they put it off here to the side. Then they're going to take their employee, and the employee must move 1, 2, or 3 spaces. So you'll cross here, get the income, as I mentioned before. Let's say go 1, 2, and maybe I'll just go 3 here. Now, if I want to go more, I can. In fact, that's what this little icon here is. I can spend $1 to move 1. I can spend another $1 to move 2, but I can never do a complete lap. So instead, I'm just going to go here. Not going to spend any extra money, and then this turtle must go to either of these 2 tanks. But as I said before, this turtle needs seaweed. So what do? Well, at any point in time on my turn, I can spend $2, and I can pretty much buy anything off this seaboard. The game's going to begin with 5 random fish here. They don't have to be exactly this pairing. I can spend $2 to grab one of these. I can spend $2 to grab a coral, but I'm going to spend $2 to grab a seaweed. And I'm going to put the seaweed here in this corner with this turtle. And then that will trigger the end of my turn, and then it's going to go on to the next player. So it's going to be white's turn, and then they're going to move, and they can go into any of these spaces here. So maybe they go here, here. They can also go here to this blue space. If they go to this blue space, they have 2 choices. Number 1, first, their employee does not move. The employee doesn't move, and now they have a choice between activating any of these ads or buying any of these special fish. Now the ads will generate money. How do they work? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Well, let's take a closer look at the advertisements. Here, every 2 small fish across your entire aquarium, they don't have to be in the same tank, will give you $1. Every large fish across your entire aquarium will give you $1. Every shark and coral, they don't have to be in the same tank, just spread out through across your aquarium will give you $1 each. And here, every turtle and coral that you have across your entire aquarium will give you $1. You'll choose one of these 4 to activate and get money. Or instead, you could buy one of these special fish. Now, each of these special fish will be a little bit different here. You see here, this is the remora. That's how much it costs, and that's how much oxygen it takes. Down below here, I'll talk about how it scores. Here you see the flapjack costs 3 and it takes up 2 oxygen, whereas the manta ray costs $4 and takes 3 oxygen. And again, All three of these will end up scoring points in a variety of different ways. In fact, several of the expansions include more of these, so you can have added variety in your game. Then it comes Gray's turn. Gray can go as far as they want, and Gray can even jump all the way out here and get this whale shark. Now that Green's all the way back at the end again, now it is Green's turn. Let's say Green jumps here, and then they must move their worker 1, 2, or 3 spaces. You're probably asking, Jay, what are these little things? These little things right here that kind of look like YouTube buttons. I'm so glad you asked that. If at any time in the game, let's say you have 3 sharks here. I'm going to borrow this shark here, and naturally that can't work because each of these are 2. So I'm going to put this seaweed here, and now it has a capacity of 6, and I can fit 3 sharks here. If you ever match any of these milestones in one tank, you will immediately take one of these little YouTube symbols here, place it at the very top, and then if you're the first person here, you'll get 5 points, and you'll get the shark. These milestone creatures can be instantly put anywhere you want. Doesn't have to be adjacent to your employee. Let's put them there, for example. To get a better look at this, you could see that the first person to complete this will get 5, second 4, third 3, last place 3 points. And only the first place will get the extra fish. Now again, the base game comes with several of these cards individually, but the expansions include more of these cards for more added variety. Eventually, all 3 players will eventually make their way off the board. The first person is going to go here, the second person off the board will go here, the third person off the board will go here, and then you'll be able to begin the second round. This will drop down, and let's say throughout the course of this round, some of these fish were bought. Let's just remove some of these fish randomly. Now, any fish that remain here on the board will actually stay, and then you're going to take this bag and then randomly draw out tokens, and if a fish was already there, you're going to just put another fish there, which means that the second time that someone comes around, they'll be getting 2 fish instead of 1. Now, you do get a very, very big bag with this new version, and there aren't any tokens here. In fact, some people complained that, well, you can kind of feel the fish, and you could purposely pull out the fish that you want, and technically, you're not supposed to do that. Shame on you. Bad you. Bad, bad, bad. You're supposed to just go in here, not feel for fish, and just randomly take things out, and then randomly drop them onto the board. After 1, 2, 3 rounds, and everyone is back, you're going to score points. First, you're going to score points for everything that's in your tanks. If you forget how to do that, it's all right here on the main board. You can see here that each pair of small and large fish in the same tank will give you 3 points. Every turtle, 2 points. Every shark, 2 points. Every seahorse, 2 points. Every whale shark, 4 points. And every coral will give you a 1 point. Then for every $3 that you have, you're going to score 1 point. So if you had $15 at the end of the game, you'll score a total of 5 points. You also score points from your milestones, and then you'll score points for any of your advanced fish that you'll have here. In addition, on the last round, depending on your placement here, you'll score 3, 2, or 1 points, and whoever has the most points wins Aqua Garden. But now that we've experienced the depths of the sea, let's rise up and explore the skies. Welcome to Sky Garden. Now, as you can see here, a lot of things are familiar. So again, you have your main board, you have your 4 ads here. You can see that it's like still 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds. And yes, again, it's 4 rounds for 4 players, and 1, 2, 3 player games are only 3 rounds. You'll see this extra thing here. We'll talk about that later. But hey, your sea board has become a forest board. So now here is your player board. Let's zoom in really quickly here. Now here is the player board. Now you'll notice that this has lakes and this doesn't. And the reason why is because you'll get these little tokens here and you'll place them on top so you won't begin with lakes. And just like the previous player boards, you can see each of the 6 areas. It has a space of 4, and each of the animals will take up a certain amount of space. Here you see nests. Nest will take 0 space. And instead of seaweed, you now have trees, as you can see here, trees and lakes. And both of them will increase your area by 2. However, you can never have a lake and a tree in the same area. You must have either a lake or a tree. Both cannot exist in each of the 6 areas. Now you'll also notice that the events still take place. You see your bucket here is still there. Over here, you'll see this is where you keep track of your money. And up here, you'll keep track of your eggs. Now you'll take an egg token here. Now there are 3 colors in the game. They all are the same thing. They don't mean any difference here. And then you'll keep track of the eggs here, and you'll slowly move this up and gaining more and more experience points. More on that scoring later. Over here, you see a lot of empty squares, and that's where you're going to put your cubes. And depending on where that last cube was removed, let's say this one was removed and these 3 are here, then you'll score 18 points at the end of the game. So it's pretty clear there. This is a very, very simple step from Aqua Garden to Sky Garden. Now, when you set up the game, you're going to take one of these setup cards, flip it over here, and then you'll see that, oh, I begin with a lake and a nest in these areas, and they're all completely random. So I'm going to remove this piece, and I'll begin with the lake, and then I will take a nest and place it here. More on that nest later. And just like Aqua Garden, I'm going to be given all these event cards. Now, there are significantly more event cards here. In Aqua Garden, you're just randomly given 1, but in Sky Garden and in Dino Garden, you're going to be given 2, and then you choose 1. And just like before, these 2 birds can be together in one area, in another area. They could be at here or there, but so long as they're in your event areas, that's all that matters. Except the only difference now is that you have this little cube here, and you'll put it here so to depict if you have 0, 1, or 2 pairs. And that way when you cross, you'll get $1, $2, or $3. And at the end of the game, depicted by this moon, you'll score 0, 3, 7 points. And all the events have a different point and money structure. Some of them even go up to 3 pairs. So we'll just go ahead and stick this one because, well, it doesn't matter too much. And with that, we should be ready to play the game. Now, you should have noticed that, well, none of the meeples are here on the board. You're going to take one of each of the birds and send them off to the side. These are unique birds. They won't be mixed. Now, you'll take the rest of the birds and kind of leave them off to the side. I put them here in this bowl. Again, you'll see the 3 special birds here, and you can see their meeples are right next to those. This is where the milestones are. Now, before you had those 4 cards, and now you have this little matrix. Now, if you look closely here, you'll see A, B, C, and D, and you'll see these here, A, B, C, D. You're always going to have 3 A's, 3 B's, 2 C's, and 1 D. There are multiples of each letter, and you'll mix them up and then randomly rearrange them here. So every time you play the game, it's going to feel a little different. Also, instead of putting the meeples directly on the board, you're going to be putting these little tokens in this beautiful bag here, and then dropping these down here. So that way you'll never have to accidentally feel a token. It's always going to be a random token here placed on the board. You might remember this blue space here with this little YouTube symbol here, but now this YouTube symbol is randomly placed around the board. It's not in a set space. So they could all be up front, they could all be at the end, or they could be spread out. You also notice this orange token here, and then there'll be 3 of them. And if you look closely, that this one is only used for round 1, this is used for round 2 and 4, and then this one is used for round 3. So for the given round, you're going to be using one of these particular tokens. And you'll just place the other 2 just off to the side. Also, you notice here in this little forest board that in Aqua Garden, you take 5 random ones, but in this one, every round, you're going to add 2 more birds here. They're going to come out with these tokens, and you'll just simply place the bird on their token. And now we're ready to begin. And just like before, whoever's in the last position, it'll be their turn. So let's say here it's Orange's turn, and they can move anywhere they want. They can even just jump back here if that's what they really want to do. Well, they can just, let's say they'll just move here to this space, and just like before, they'll take that bird and place it here next to the board off to the side, and then now they'll move this person 1, 2, or 3 spaces. So let's say they'll move here 1, 2, 3. They pass their bucket, so now they'll get their income, just like before. And the 0 pairs give me $1, so I'll increase my dollar by 1. And then now I can place this Shima Inaga, which is the cutest bird in existence. I really cannot stress how cute this bird is. Either of these two locations. Let's put it here next to the nest. Now, at any given time, I can spend $2 and buy another one of these birds here. I can spend $2 to buy a tree. I can spend $2 to buy a nest. I could even spend $2 to buy any of these birds. I think I mentioned that. But you can also spend $4 to buy this area. Now, when you buy this area, you must decide if it's going to be the lake side or if it's going to be the tree side. And this little symbol here means that as soon as you place it, you immediately get a tree. And then this will go off to the side here, and it'll always be adjacent to your employees. So no matter where they are in your aviary, they're always going to be adjacent to this location. And at the end of the game, this one will even give you whopping 3 points. But let's say I spend $2. I spend $2 here, and then I get this bird, and then I'll place them here in the same area. Now, both of these birds I could place into this nest here, and more on that later. Well, now it's white's turn. Let's say white jumps all the way up here and gets a green bird. You're familiar with that process. Let's do gray. Let's say gray goes all the way here to the blue. Now, these blue tokens have two choices on them. You can see here this special feather with the stars, and then that YouTube symbol. Well, this special feather with the stars means that they can buy any of these 3 special birds here. And when you buy any of these special birds here, you place them in any of your 6 or 7 areas in your aviary, or you can trigger this YouTube symbol. What does that YouTube symbol do? That's right, it does the ads. And let's take a closer look at the ads. Here you can see the Shima Naga and your wide-eyed bird. Every pair you get will give you $2 to a maximum of 6. Every hawk and tree that you have individually, doesn't have to be a pair, each one will give you $1. So if you have 2 hawks and a tree, that'll be $3 to a max of 7. Same thing goes with the flamingo and the lakes. Each flamingo will give you $1, each lake will give you $1 to a max of 7. And here you're going to multiply the number of swans you have and the number of toucans, and then you'll multiply that by 2, and that'll be a max of $8. But choose either one you want, and then you'll gain an extra amount of income. Money, money, money! So now that we've discussed all these areas, let's talk about this red guy, and what if he happens to go to this particular area where there are eggs? Well, something interesting happens and all your birds lay eggs. Let's go back down to the main board, or your player board. Let's go back down to your player board. Now, one that I do want to mention is that each area can only have 1 nest. So at most you can only have 6 or maybe 7 nests if you have this extra side area here. At any point in time, you could switch your birds out in the area for which birds are in the nest. But I like Shima and Naga. Let's just leave them here for now. When you lay eggs, what happens? Well, each player is going to have this really cool 3D nest, which is really rad. Now, when you look inside, you'll see that each of these little holes has one of the birds, one of the 6 birds, and you have a 7th place here for this special brown egg. The first time your Shima and Naga will lay an egg, you're going to cover that egg here. Now, the second time that they may lay an egg, and indeed you might have another pair that lays eggs, the next time that they lay eggs, well then instead of adding an egg here because it's already there, you're going to move this egg up. And that's going to be really important because you're going to want to have more birds laying eggs and pushing this up as far right as you can. And you want to fill this up with eggs as well. More on that later. Now, we've explained all these areas. We explained the green chips, where you get the birds and you move your guy just like before, getting income as you do. We explained the blue token, which gives you access to the special birds and or the ads here for a boost of income. We talked about laying eggs and how incredibly important that is. We haven't explained why just yet. Well, let's talk about this and those. These are the milestones. Just like before we had the 4 cards, now you have milestones. If you ever fill a milestone, you will immediately take one of your cubes here, the top one, and then put it next to the milestone. So let's take this and jump over there. Now, here is what I call the milestone matrix, and they're pretty self-explanatory. So here you see if you ever have 3 hawks in any of your areas, then you trigger this milestone. If you have these 2 birds as well as a special bird in one area, then you trigger this milestone. If you ever have $7, then you trigger this milestone. If you ever have 3 eggs, and then you trigger this milestone. Again, not eggs, I'm sorry, nests. Then you trigger this milestone. They're all pretty self-explanatory. I've never had a player ask me what they mean. So let's say you have 3 hawks. Well, then you immediately take your piece and put it here. It technically doesn't matter if it's here, here, or here, but you should place it in the leftmost area. And you'll slowly accrue these over the course of the game. And hey, maybe your opponent does as well, and they'll place their cubes out accordingly. Now, something interesting happens, and that if you ever get like a tic-tac-toe, meaning that not diagonals, only straight and across, if you ever do this, then you'll get a bonus. So these 3 go down here, and then you will get this bonus here. So this means I get 2 trees, 2 lakes, 2 nests, or any of these 3, and I get 2 of them. If you're the first person to get this, you'll take this and remove it off the board, and you can see the next person that'll do it, let's say Gray does it, well then they'll just get a lake here. If on the rare chance that you trigger 2 bonuses at the same time, well then you would get both bonuses. And indeed, in the game, that this can have a triggering effect where you do one, then you get a bonus, and that'll trigger another one, and you can have some fun combo action here. And indeed, that it's not random. Most players, when they play this, they'll look at these goals and try to get as many of these extra bonuses as they can. If you see here, this is the brown egg, and this is the only way to get that brown egg. Now, while we're here, I do want to mention that I really like these. And in fact, I like these more than the starting ones in Aqua Garden, because not only do they give you points, but they also give you deductions in the game. So for example, this bird will give you, will make all the trees or lakes instead of $2, make them $1. This bird makes all the nests $1 instead of $2. And this one will just give you a crap ton of points if you play it correctly. Now you may be asking, Jay, what does this mean? And that is you get a free bird of these 6. You'll just take one of these and then add them anywhere you want to your player board. And that's why they're set apart, so that way you'll always have access to them. Now, play like this will continue just as before until all players eventually go out, and they'll make their way all the way around, and then you begin the next round. When you do that, you go take all of these little tokens here, toss them into your lovely bag, shake them up, and then deal them out again. Don't forget that you'll change the round token, and then you add 2 more tokens here. If there's already a bird on the token that no one bought, simply just slide it off. Take these and then refill them again. Now, this area here can never have a blue token or that round token. The tokens that go there must be green. Now, unlike Aqua Garden, if no one bought a particular bird from this area, that bird doesn't stay, because again, you're not putting meeples down here, you're just putting the tokens. Play will continue until you've played 3 rounds, or for a 4-player game, 4 rounds, and then you go off to final scoring. The first thing that's going to happen is, just like before, you're going to look at the main board here and then score each of your final birds. Each of your small white and green birds will be $2. If they're in the same area as a tree, then they'll be not $2, 4 points. Same thing with hawks. Each hawk is 2 points, but if they're next to a tree, you'll have a total of 3 points. Each flamingo is 2 points. If that flamingo is in the same area as a lake, that flamingo is now 3 points. Toucan is always 1 point, but if they're next to a tree or lake, they'll be worth 3 points. And now, big swan is automatically 3 points, and if they're in a lake, they'll be worth 5. Now, in addition to all the birds you may have here in your aviary, you're going to score points from other different places. You're going to score points if you built this little area here. You're going to score 3 points for that. You're going to score points from all your special birds. You're going to score points for depending on how many pairs you have on your event. And you're going to score points by how many of the milestones that you have. So this is the last one that was uncovered, and this is 15, so I'm going to score 15 points from that. But the eggs are where you're going to score a lot of points here. You can see that this egg here, it's 5. I don't get 5 points. No, 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 no. I look at that number, and then I'm going to look at these eggs here. So that's 5 here and 5. So 5 times 5 is 25. So therefore, you're going to push this as far as you can, and then you can get as many eggs as you can, and you're going to multiply those two numbers. So that alone was 25 points. This here was 15 points. So you probably get 25%, 30%, 33% from your eggs, another 25 to 33% from this, about half from your birds, including your special birds, and whoever has the highest score at the end of all of that wins Sky Garden. I should also mention that just like Aqua Garden, if you ever make a mistake and you're like, you know what, I'm going to put this here, but I don't have enough room, you could boot out birds and put them back here. So you could boot out your own fish and put them back here to the seaboard, or you could boot out your birds and put them here to the forest board? I forgot exactly what this was called. But now we're done with the sky. Let's go back to land for the dinos. Arr, 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 arr. Welcome to Dino Garden! Now, as you can see here, this is very similar to Sky Garden. And let's talk about the differences here. First, we're almost ready to set up, but we have to get an event card. And just like Sky Garden, there are a ton of event cards. You're going to be randomly given 2, and then you're going to choose which one you want. And just like Sky Garden, the bucket no longer has a $sign, and it's all here on this card. So 0, 1, 2 pairs, you'll get more money, and you'll get points at the end of the game. Next, let's take a closer look at the player board. Ba-doom. Now here, once again, you can see that you have a money track, and again, you begin at 2. Here you can see there's a little dotted line here for your employee to go. And then now you'll notice that, yes, the lakes are still here. They're still part of the game. Instead of trees, though, you now have very thematic volcanoes. And just like before, you can have a volcano in an area, and you can have a lake in an area, but you can never have both. Now let's take a closer look at the animals here. Again, each area is 4. These animals take up 1, 2, 1. The big dinosaur, just like the turtle from Aqua Garden, must exist in water. And then now you have volcanoes and lakes that add 2. At any time, you can spend $2 to add, let's see, a volcano, a lake, or a special dinosaur, or a dinosaur, I'm sorry, not a special dinosaur, that's on here into your play area. And then, of course, you could spend $1 to move your employee an extra space, but you can never go one full complete lap, which has been the same since Aqua Garden. You'll also notice that there are these spaces here. This is new. And also, more importantly, that the employee goes clockwise. And this right here is for the feeder. And you can see that he has a little meat apron. And that's because he's going to go counterclockwise. So that's going to be one of the things that you'll have to work with, is that your employee is going clockwise. Your feeder is going counterclockwise. More on that later. Just like Aqua Garden and Sky Garden, you're going to have this little circle board here. You could buy the volcanoes here. Then here are dinosaurs that work just like Sky Garden. You're always going to add 2 here. If one wasn't purchased, they'll slide off here and stay here for the next round, and then you'll add 2 more. If some of the dinosaurs do come with meat, so if one does appear with meat, then you'll just add the meat to the dinosaur, just like that. Once again, you can see that the main action board here uses these tokens similar to Sky Garden, and we'll talk more about that later. But this is the big addition. Oh, dropped a piece there. This is the big addition to the Dino Garden, and this is your feeding board. I'll talk about this in just a little bit, but I also just want to point out that there are a ton of these, and if you notice on the bottom, they all have different bonuses. They all do different things. I'll go over these in just a little bit, but let's go ahead and show you what a turn order, a round, looks like. So just like before, there are 3 tokens here. There's like your regular dinosaur token that you're going to get. There's the blue token. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. And then there are these orange tokens that come up per round. In fact, there's 3 of them, just like Sky Garden. And you can see this one appears on round 1. This is rounds 2 and 4. And this is round 3. So you'll put them off to the side, put the one for round one, shake it up in the bag, and then randomly distribute here. So just like before, whoever's in last place will go. I'm going to go here, take that dinosaur, place this dinosaur off to the side, and then move my employee 1, 2, or 3 spaces. So let's say I'll move him 1, 2, 3. I move past my bucket. I am going to take $1, and then I'll just plop this person anywhere I want. I'm going to place him here, and then I'm going to go ahead and spend $2 to get myself a lake. And I'm going to remove this, and now I have a lake. And again, you can only get lakes and volcanoes in areas adjacent to where your employee is. Now it's White's turn. Now White will go, let's say White goes here to this blue token. Now this blue token is a little bit different. As you can see here you just get $3 straight up. And that's because if you look closely, there are no ads here. In fact, there are no ads in Dino Garden whatsoever. This skull with the stars here is a special dinosaur, and you can go ahead and buy those. So Sky Garden had the feather and the stars, and this one has the dinosaur skull and the special stars. So while we're here, let's take a moment to look at the special dinosaurs. Now, my favorite thing about these dinosaurs is that none of them take up any space at all. They're all at 0. They take up 0 space, so you could always squeeze them into any of the areas that you want. This one reduces the purchase of a volcano or lake to 1, so that'll help you save money, and these only 2. These 3, well, they're kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. This one will give you 1 point for every carnivore dinosaur that you have, and this one will give you a point for every herbivore that you have. In fact, the dinosaurs are always carnivorous or herbivorous. I think that's the word. English, I know these things, but you definitely want to get these eventually, so each dinosaur gives you a point. It's now Gray's turn. Gray's going to go here and get the Triceratops dinosaur as well as the meat. And now it's my turn, and I'm going to go here, get another flying dinosaur, but more importantly, I get to move my feeder. So what does that look like? Well, let's go look down below at the player board. So the first thing that happens is, one, I get this dinosaur, I'll put them off to the side here, and then I get to move my employee 1, 2, or 3 spaces. So let's say I'll move him just one space. 1 space will do. And then I get to place my flying dinosaur in one of these adjacent spaces. I'll go here, and then now I get to move my feeder. If you get where the feeder is, that's the employee with the ascot, and then your feeder has the meat. Now your feeder is going to move 1, 2, or 3 spaces, and as they move counterclockwise, 1, 2, 3, for example, they could pick up meat along the way. How much meat? Well, as much meat as they can carry, and they have this little case here. And you can see here that this is a max of 3, and there's 3 types of meat, and different dinosaurs produce different types of meat. Later on in the game, at any time during your turn, you can spend $3, and you could upgrade this. So that way you have a max of 5, which you'll definitely need, and you get 3 points while you're at it. So let's say I'll pick up this meat here, put it in my box, move 1, drop it off, move 2, pick up this meat, and then I will move down here for 3 and then drop off this meat. Why do I want to do that? Well, that's because different dinosaurs, again, are carnivores and herbivores. Now, a quick way to look at this is that your herbivores are going to be blue and green. So herbivore, herbivore, herbivore. And all your carnivores are going to have this brown reddish look. So carnivore, carnivore, carnivore. So these 3 are going to produce meat that these 3 are going to eat. And then once you move your feeder, they don't eat just yet. That comes into another phase of the game. So we explained what the regular spots do, we explained what the blue spots do, and we explained what these feeder spots do. The next thing you'll notice is that these ads don't exist anymore. In fact, the milestones are here. So in Sky Garden, you had a separate board by 3x3 milestone matrix, and here the milestones are an ab formation, I guess, like they're all in pairs. And this is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, you get 4 raptors in any of your 6 areas. Well, then you achieve this milestone. So if you achieve this milestone, you'll just immediately put one of your cubes there on top. And let's stick down below here. This one is also self-explanatory. Oh, you get $7. So if I do get $7 at this point, well then instead of putting another cube here, I'll immediately move this cube down here to the leftmost spot. And if you look closely here, you'll see the values are 5, 3, 2, and 2 points. So you'll definitely want to get these milestones sooner as opposed to later. Now, as soon as you trigger this, as soon as you get a pair, then you'll immediately look at one of the 5 cards that you have here, and everyone has the same 5. So you get one of the 6 special dinosaurs. Now these dinosaurs are going to be set off to the side, similar to Sky Garden. You get to move your feeding track up by 4. More on this later. You get to buy a special dinosaur at a discount of $2. Get $5 while you at it. Get a free lake and a free volcano, which is quite spectacular. Although this one is probably the one that I see most people take, because just like Sky Garden, these can trigger off themselves, usually in the 3rd round. And I do want to mention that these are all one-time use. You take it, return to the box. We just usually just flip it over, so that way we can't have access to it anymore. I'm just going to show you a few more. So this one, you have each of your herbivores in one particular area. And this one you have 2 special dinosaurs. So again, skull with special stars. That means special. Now, eventually, all the people will make their way around here. And that will trigger the end of the action phase. Now, Sky Garden and Aqua Garden only had really like 2 phases. It's 1, it's the action phase. 2, it's the setup for the next phase. Next setup for the next round phase. This one has 3 phases. So first is the action phase. And then second is the eating phase. So let's take a look at the player board to see how that eating phase works. So to understand the predator phase, let's look at the eating track. You're going to have a cube here, and you're going to slowly want to make it move across here, because at the end of the game, you're going to score points for how far you move along the track. And there are point jumps. They don't just go by single digits, 6, 7, 8, 9, but you look here, 28, 31, 35. So the movement gets more valuable the further along you go. Also, as soon as you get to this one spot here, well then now these blue dinosaurs are going to be worth 2 extra points. This one I'll get to immediately buy a special dinosaur at a discount of 2. Now my events from now on forever will always give me an extra $1. My T-Rexes are worth 2 extra points, and now this blue dinosaur is worth an extra 2, but really he's worth an extra 4. Now there are, again, quite a few of these, and they all have different things on there. So they are quite nice. You can see this one allows you to move your feeder an extra space. This one, all your special dinosaurs are a permanent discount of -1. This allows you to flip over your briefcase immediately. Gives you meat and money. Hey, that's great. And different dinosaurs. So each one of these boards will give you a special focus to kind of focus on throughout the course of the game. But the main question is, Jay, how do I move up this track? Well, that's simple. You're going to feed your dinosaurs. So if you look here, not look at this, but look at this side of the board here. Each of these dinosaurs eat these kinds of meat, and there are 3 kinds of meat. Now, the flying dinosaur, I thought it was a pterodactyl, but it's something else, will eat different kinds. And I know that this is a little bit confusing, and I kind of wish they did this differently. I kind of wish that there was a grid here, so you have 3 dinosaurs, and here you have the 3 meats, and it's like this little matrix of this dinosaur eats this meat, they move up 1 or 2 or 0 or X because they can't eat it. So if the Velociraptor eats either of these, you get to move up your track by 1. If the T-Rex eats either of these meats, it moves up by 1. If you notice that the Velociraptor can't eat this meat and the T-Rex can't eat this meat. So you do have a little bit of planning ahead to do. Now the Pteranodon eats this meat, it goes up by 1. But if it eats the large meat, it goes up by 2. It, meaning the track, goes up by 2. So you're going to want to move the meat, and this shows you which of these herbivores produce which kinds of meat. And then you'll see which ones eat that kind of meat. So this will go into your planning. So here you can see the Pteranodon, will eat this. It goes up twice. And then the Velociraptors will eat these, and they each go up by 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And this will be 5, 6. So I get to move up 6 total on my track. And then all the meat that they eat will immediately go back to the supply. So again, there are 3 phases. There's the action phase, there's the predator phase, and now there's the food phase. And then each of your herbivores are going to produce meat. So he produces meat, he produces meat. Sometimes we call this the Oprah phase, because and you get a meat, and you get a meat, and you get a meat. And you get a meat. Now, I have this. This technically should be this thing, but in my prototype, this didn't arrive for whatever reason. So I've been using these white cubes instead. So that would go here, that would go here, and then that would go here. So again, you'll have 4 phases in this game. There'll be the action phase, then there'll be the eating phase, the predator phase, and then the third action will be the eating phase, where you get to actually eat everyone, and then you advance on your meat track. And the fourth phase will be the cleanup phase. So if at the end of a round there are still dinosaurs here, such as this one, they'll just slide off their tokens. If they had a meat token with them, that meat will go away, go back to supply, and then these 2 will go away and back into the bag, and then you'll just randomly place them out, and then randomly drop 2 more. Let's say we drop these. Well, then this dinosaur will come here with their meat, and then you put a velociraptor here. Oh, that's a pterodon. A velociraptor here, and then you'll put this meat here for this dinosaur, ready for that next round. And again, you'll do this for 3 rounds, unless you're playing a 4-player game, and then you'll play for 4 rounds. Once that ends, you'll go straight into final scoring, and let's see how that works. So just like before, you're going to score all the dinosaurs in your area. So you see here, this blue dinosaur is going to score you 1 point. Unless they're next to a lake, then it'll be 2 points. Triceratops is 1 point next to a lake. This Triceratops is now worth 3 points. Velociraptors are 1. If next to a volcano, they're worth 2. T-Rex is 1. If next to a volcano, they're worth 3. The Pteranodon is worth 1 point. If next to a volcano, they're worth 3. And this big dinosaur is always 5 points. Always. And then wherever you ended up on the track will also score you additional points. So if you got here, you'll get 28 points. And then don't forget that some dinosaurs will be worth more points for you. So if you all got all the way up here to 28, then your blue dinosaur here will be worth an additional 4 points. Your T-Rexes will also be worth an additional 2 points. You also have your event card, depending on how many pairs of dinosaurs that you got, as well as if you upgrade your case, you'll get some extra points from that as well. And then don't forget your special dinosaurs. Not this one, but these will give you bonus points. 1 for all your carnivores, 1 for all your herbivores. And then lastly, don't forget about your milestones. You will annoyingly have to move these over so that way you could read the numbers. I mean, I guess technically you could remember it's 5, 3, 2, 2 for all 4 of those. They could have put those numbers off to the side so that way you're not have to be trouble to move that cube over. It is mildly annoying, but it's not the game breaking, not the end of the world. Last but not least, you'll gain points here on the standby track depending on when you went out. So if you went out first, you'll get 3 points. If you went out last, you'll get 1 or 0 points. Calculate your entire score, and whoever had the most points wins Dino Garden. All right, let's talk about it. You're going to get these games for the arts. Just the components alone are just absolutely breathtaking. The fish meeples, the bird meeples, the dinosaur meeples are absolutely adorable. And they're very, very Instagrammable. They look super, super ridiculously cute. So if you're looking for a cozy game, you got 1, not 2, but 3 in this epic trilogy of games to look forward to on your table. Now, while Aqua Garden is very bright and very blue and very reminiscent of the ocean, Sky Garden has a lot of lush greens and kind of really invokes this different sense of feel. Now, not only are the player boards slightly different, but also the main board, where you take all the actions, has a different set of colors. So you have green and branches to help distinguish it from Aqua Garden. Now, I understand that Dino Garden had to have a different color palette with these browns and these dark colors, as almost if you're digging and excavating for like bones. I just wish that it had a little bit more green to them. Now, I completely understand that they needed different palettes for each of the games. So they have like blue, like bright and green, and then you have like variations of brown. But I just wanted, I guess, a little bit more bright colors in Dino Garden. But that's completely subjective and just, my things that I have to deal with. Gameplay. Now, as for the gameplay of this, Aqua Garden is incredibly light. Now, it is introducing you to this system, and it came out a few years ago. Sky Garden is a little bit heavier. There's a little bit much more going on. You have the egg mechanic, how you're trying to work on that, getting pairs of birds in the right areas so they can get nests and lay eggs, and you could just multiply your eggs right, a ridiculous amount sometimes. And that's gonna, the eggs are gonna be, I don't know, anywhere from 25 to 33% of your final score if you're doing it correctly. Now, Dino Garden has 2 more phases to the game, so it is by far the heaviest. This has an action phase where you move around the board and then refresh to the next round. This is pretty much the exact same thing, but Dino Garden has 2 whole other things. So your herbivores are pooping out meat, and then your carnivores are eating meat. So there are 2 more phases in this, and a little fiddlier. Now, I hate to use that word fiddly because it seems like there are a whole bunch of rules like thrown in. It is very smooth, but it is a longer game. Now, Sky Garden, in my opinion, feels smoother, and this nice balance in between the two, and it's probably my favorite. My wife's is Dino Garden because she just loves meat and loves feeding the dinosaurs. Also, she's a big dinosaur fan. Now, even though this is the lighter game, there's a lot of replayability among all 3. Now, Aqua Garden, it is the lightest, but it has the most expansions because it's been out for a few years now. It has so many expansions that I really wish Uchibacoya kind of created this nice little booklet that kind of put all the rules from all the expansions in one place, so that way I don't have to keep like multiple little rule books in one place. Even if they never print it out, I would love for that to be an option online, putting it all in just one booklet that I could print out myself. I would really, really love that. Do you hear me, Uchibacoya? Please, please, please make that happen. Now, for Sky Garden, the replayability are those milestones, because what, you're going to take 3 A's, 3 B's, 2 C's, and 1 D in this little 3x3 grid, and those are going to change every single time you play the game because there's a lot of variability there. And depending on where each one is, you're going to try and go for different columns and different rows and get those bonuses that way. And what's interesting is that you can see where your opponents are going on that milestone charts and try to block them, try to prevent them. So there's a lot of interaction here, or indirect action between you and the other players. Or it has a Cargo Zone feel where you could be really, really mean and in each other's faces, or just lay back and just chill and just do your own thing. Now, both Sky Garden and Dino Garden had these extra figures. Now, this did have the seaweed, which allowed you to grow that area by 2. These two both have 2 types of seaweed, right? They have the trees and the lakes, and this has the lakes and the volcanoes. And I really love that dichotomy of the 2. And I really love and appreciate how in Sky Garden, you can buy an area that is always adjacent to your employee. So it gives you that extra flexibility that you're looking for. Also, the egg mechanic is just a lot of fun. Like it's just incredibly fun to try and lay eggs as often as you can by landing on that space. And it's really interesting to see how that space evolves from Aqua Garden of money or a special bird to money or special birds to money and special birds, and the extra layer of going to a specific space just to lay eggs. And the eggs are just, I don't know, it's just so much fun to put the eggs into your nest. There's that nice little toy factor there. I just find that incredibly fulfilling. Also, I have to admit that the one thing that was a little annoying with this one is that in final scoring, when you go to the milestones, you put your cube over the number in Dino Garden. But in this one, you don't do that because you're putting your cube onto a blank space, and then you just look at your player board, see where your cube is, and then right above it is the number. So there's less fiddliness with that final scoring. I know that's a very tiny thing, but it's just another one of those things that makes me really appreciate how smooth Sky Garden feels in that final stage of the game. Now, while Sky Garden has that milestone, like 3x3 grid that you're playing with, Dino Garden has that milestone of like that 2x4 grid, should I say. And it's interesting to see how the other players are, like might have one milestone, they're gonna go for the other, and there's that, again, there's that interaction that you have by blocking your opponents, preventing them from getting certain dinosaurs, because I think they're only the big dinosaurs appear like once per round, and it's really easy to block that from them. I really love how that dino board that it's supposed to go above your player board, there are, I don't know, like there are 6 or 7 or 8 of those, and it's really easy for Uchibacoya just to keep printing those out. Lots of variabilities. Now, that allows me to have a different strategy. It kind of focuses me on a certain road and lets me see the strategies of all the other players. Like, oh, obviously they're going to go this way. Obviously they're going to go that way. And I can kind of hate draft to prevent them from doing well. And I really, really like that about Dino Garden. Also, the feeding of the dinosaurs is really difficult. It takes a while to get used to. I really couldn't get a handle of it until my third game, and where it just clicked and I realized like, oh, my areas, I need to go like herbivore, carnivore, herbivore, carnivore, herbivore, carnivore. So that way when my guy moves around, he's picking up and dropping off, picking up and dropping off, picking up and dropping off, and everyone gets fed. The one thing that I really wished was that on your feeding board, that it shows you like, oh, if it eats one, and then if it eats this meat, it gets a +1. And it's really confusing because it's actually 1 and 2. And I really wish they just did a very simple grid where it had all the dinosaurs, it had all the different meats, and it showed like if you feed this one, this dinosaur eats this meat, it doesn't do anything. This dinosaur eats this meat, it moves 1. This dinosaur eats this meat, and it moves 2, as opposed to this blank +1 and +2. And I really wish it was grid. I think that would have been a lot easier to read. Also, the first time you play either of these, you're not going to be paying attention to the trees or the trees, volcanoes, or lakes. So you're not going to be used to putting certain dinosaurs in certain areas or certain birds in certain areas. So it's going to take a while to kind of get used to. Now, what I'm really, really excited about is that Aqua Garden got a ton of expansions, because this is really, really easy to expand. Hey, this is a game about fish. Well, let's just add more fish to the deck. Oh, we have some special fish. Let's add more special fish to the game. That's incredibly easy, and then you just increase the longevity of the game. Now, there are dozens of more birds, dozens of more dinosaurs, so you can add more special dinosaurs, more special birds, more special dinosaurs, more special birds. So these are easily expandable. And that makes me really, really excited about the future. Now, people are going to be asking me, it's like, Jay, if you can only get one, does one like justify the other? Do you think there's a place in your collection? And I always feel weird about those questions because, I mean, no game is really necessary. None of the games on this shelf are absolutely necessary. This is a complete luxury hobby, and we all really need to really come to terms with that. Now, I really like Aqua Garden. It is a bit lighter than these other two. And I would recommend that you start with this before you move on to these. At the same time, though, there are a lot of expansions for this and that are available right now. And you can add those here, and there's a lot of replay value just exploring that system on its own. And these definitely add a little bit more weight, light, medium, heavy. Both of these I really enjoy. Now, push come to shove, I'm probably going to choose this one over Dino Garden. My wife will choose Dino Garden over Sky Garden, but I could play either of these and they both feel different. Now, I wish I could say that a 2x8 grid and then this 3x3 grid of milestones should be the same, but they're not. They're really, really different. Because this 2x4, you're only interested in the pairs of milestones, whereas this one, that grid and how those milestones interact with each other are very, very different. And it creates this different feel for the game. Also, like this with the feeding boards and how those changed every time gives it a completely different feel. So if I had to rank them, I would probably rank them 1, 2, 3, but this is a hard 3 because there's a whole other big expansion like Beachcombing that you could add to this that completely changes the game and makes it a lot heavier, that puts it on par with both of these. Now, I don't know if Beachcombing is going to be available for this Kickstarter, but I really hope it is. And I'm not going to talk about it much in this video because I don't know if it's going to be available for the Kickstarter. That being said, Totsuca Chuo is one of my favorite designers out of Japan. I dedicated a whole video to him way back when, so please check out that video. I'll put a link to it down below. And people are always asking me how they can find board games from Japan, and I'm telling them the easiest way to do it is just to follow Kickstarter, because if a Japanese game comes to Kickstarter, it's going to be the easiest way to get those games. You can go to Tokyo Game Market and buy them there. You can go to Japan and Tokyo and go to the board game shops and maybe you can find some games there. It's really difficult. It's not guaranteed that you'll find them, but Kickstarter is by far the easiest way to get games from Japan, and these 3 are all stellar games that I strongly recommend you check out. Once again, my name is Jay. I play board games from Asia and share what I find with all of you. I'm going to put a link up here to a video that I think you'll enjoy. See you there.